I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would you please rise for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance, please? Mr. Gopel, sir.
Lord, we're meeting here tonight to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being the source of our guidance tonight. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
In the absence of Bonnie, I'd like to make a motion to have Mr. Krug.
Got to do the roll call first.
Oh, you got to do the roll call?
But thanks anyway.
There you go. I thought we'd just get it.
Mathis is absent. Kruger's present. Tucker.
Present.
Gopel.
Here.
Kessler is absent. Lorraine.
Present.
Reed.
Present.
Support.
Now I'd like to make the motion. We have a second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you much. Just a recording announcement this to the members of the audience. Please be advised that the meeting is being recorded and will be shown on Charter Channel 191. And you can get that schedule off the Fenton email or website. Approval of the agenda. Are there any requests to amend tonight's agenda? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next are the meeting minutes, including your pack of the meeting minutes of August 19th. Are there any corrections or requested revisions? Hearing none, the minutes will stand as presented. Next is the expenditures. Are there any questions regarding the invoices? If not, I need a motion is in order to approve the expenditures total $748,028.56.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, Tom.
Lorraine?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Mathis is absent. Krug?
Yes.
Kessler is absent. Gopel?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. The first action item tonight is Loon Lake Special Assessment District. Number 2, a hearing on special assessment. This is a public hearing on special assessment role for Loon Lake Improvement Special Assessment District. The proposed roll assessment total amount per parcel is $233.06 in 2019, $221.91 for 2020 and 2021, and $232.03 for 22 and 23. The board will accept public comment in regards to the validity of the proceedings, total cost of the project, and individual assessment. Is there anyone that wants to comment regarding Loon Lake Special Assessment? If you do, would you come up to the mic? And we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. My parcel number, I could not tell you because I didn't look at it ahead of time, but I am one of 3 houses on Neal Court, which runs next to that lake, that was part of from my understanding, historically, was part of a lawsuit And I know there's some members here that could probably talk a little bit more about that. But we were given deeded access to Loon Lake. The three, we weren't part of the lawsuit, but our parcels were listed as part of the lawsuit. And we were given deeded access to Loon Lake, but we have no real access to Loon Lake. In fact, if you go in my backyard right now, you would have no idea that there is a lake anywhere near my house, except in the winter when all of the trees died. In between us, our 3 parcels on the left-hand side of Neal Court and the lake is a swampland protected by the DEQ. I have requested numerous times, I've gone to the city and I've talked to the DEQ about putting a dock on the other side of Pamela Park, which is that protected wetland, to which every time I've been denied. I have no real access to this lake other than on paper. You can't see it, you can't get to it unless I were to encroach on other people's backyards to do that. And until that can be corrected, I think that those 3 parcels should be completely removed from any responsibility as far as weed control or anything that has to do with Loon Lake until that can be fixed. After that's fixed and the DEQ approves a dock or some type of actual access to that lake, I would be more than happy to pay an assessment for weed control. But until then, I don't understand why those 3 parcels should be included.
If you go down Patrick, right at the cul-de-sac, are you one of those 3?
Yes,
Okay.
right on the corner.
I know right where you're at.
Yeah.
Are they,
I'm-
Well, actually, he has a
Yeah.
valid point, because I know exactly the 3 lots he's talking about, and theoretically they have access, but realistically they don't.
Well, until they deed them away,
I understand that, I'm just saying.
and they can deed that access away, I would suggest to you that rather than trying to get the DEQ to go along with an alternate access point, you get them to approve a boardwalk over the wetland.
I have.
They're not,
Complete denial. They said you can't touch or do anything with that wetland.
well, you can with a permit, and they have, I live on Tupper, so I'm
Right.
not very far from you, and I'm very familiar.
I hired a contractor and I referenced Tupper Lake and the boardwalks that you have going to the properties that are protected by the DEQ,
Yeah.
and I have emails that show that they denied everything.
Well, they're out there, they exist,
They exist,
they're permitted.
but we were denied the permit to do it with complete. It was going to be a $20,000 project to build a boardwalk over those wetlands to get to a dock on the other side of Loon Lake that we were going to split between the 3 parcels, and they denied it. I did everything I could not to encroach on anything. We're not going to take chainsaws in the night and cut down trees to make our own path, right? We're trying to do this legally and properly, and we've been denied at every turn. And until that can be fixed, and I would welcome city help in doing that, or whoever I need to go to do that, but until that can be fixed, I just would ask that those 3 properties are excluded from this assessment until that can be corrected.
Jack, what do you,
If he has access on paper, it's part of the, it's no different than, from a legal standpoint, and it's no different than if somebody's on a lake and they don't have a dock or a boat or a seawall, and they can't get to it, or there's weeds. I mean,
They have the means to do that, though, legally. I mean, they could build, it's their property. There's some other property that's between me and the lake.
okay, but if you have deeded access, as Mr. Tucker mentioned, you can deed away that access. And if you do that, it's no longer gonna be deeded access because you won't have that. But as long as you have it, I think the assessment district is proper to include those properties. I mean, you can't, practical impossibilities like that, somebody else has DEQ next month and they give a permit.
I have a question.
Yes,
for you.
yes.
Pamela Park, theoretically, on Neal Court, nobody's waterfront.
Exactly.
Okay, so theoretically, why could you 3 not put a dock behind somebody else's house?
Now I've looked into that possibility as well.
They have no, I know exactly where you're at. And we had this issue when they, I think they have to have a little 1 yard worth of growth before they can actually hit that. So knowing that, those docks, I think theoretically, they go over the land,
They
over the park.
I know where you're going with this, and I just
Yeah.
want to point out that if I were to do that,
Yeah.
not only would I be a tremendous jerk to the people that are living behind,
You know what? they want that going,
legally,
It's not waterfront.
right, legally I could do it. Legally I could do it. I also would have to walk through their property on the right-hand side from Neal Court. I'd have to walk through their property to gain access to that. I mean, there's a lot of,
I mean, but the park goes all the way to the end of Neal Court
well, kind of.
towards McFarland. Well, it does. And that, because nobody on Neal Court is theoretically waterfront property.
Correct.
Okay, so that park, it's an imaginary strip, but I guess here's where I'm going with this. If you're gonna end up paying this, I mean, nothing's stopping you. I mean, short of, probably get DEQ permission for that, but I mean, if you can put it on that park going out there, and you three can use it. I know where you originally wanted it. It's a whole wooded area that you had to trek through, and I know that.
Yeah.
If you go farther to the right of it, that kind of narrows out into just mowed lots, correct?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. And I guess I
There's not a lot of places. All of them have docks too.
I
All of
understand
those
that.
lots.
Well,
yeah.
they have docks, but those docks go over they go from their lot theoretically over the park into the water.
But you're also asking to put, I mean, that's by the technical letter of the law that is there, but practically you're also asking if those 3 parcels wanted to put a dock in there to try and fit small docks and boats in between the existing docks of all of those people that have them in their backyard. And quite frankly, looking at those, there's not a
I
ton
understand
of
that,
space.
but I'm just saying.
I think legally you can, I'm not arguing the legality of this at all. I'm arguing the fairness of those 3 properties. And I understand, that you guys have to make your decision, but I'm kind of arguing the fairness of this and asking that you reconsider that as opposed to the legality, because legally you could do exactly what you're proposing.
Yeah.
But you're asking 3 people to pay for something that they can't see, can't use,
I understand that.
and can't do, right? And I understand life's not fair, and I will abide by the decision, but I wanted just to come here and say my piece too. I just don't think it's fair, and until something could be corrected with that, or helped with that, I don't think those 3 properties should be assessed this.
And I get what you're saying. I don't want you to think I don't understand.
Right.
But if you truly have given up on accessing the lake, then implement that by deeding away that access. And then I don't have any problem saying you're not included within the district. But you can't keep it, and then 6 months now from you list it, lakefront property.
Sure.
You can't have it both ways. So if you're truly serious about this is not practical access for me, deed it away.
Can this be amended, though, to, I mean, instead of saying, there's nothing on here that says deeded access, but perhaps something non-lakefront, you have something in there about non-lakefront parcels being charged a 50% rate. Can maybe that be increased or even, more so to help with this a little bit?
I guess I'm not sure. You're wanting to spread more of the cost to the non-lakefront parcels?
I'd like to spend less of the cost to the non-lakefront. How many,
Right.
well, are we the only 3?
I don't know, Tom?
No, the ones that were identified as non-lakefront were the ones in the plat on the north side of the lake off Mohawk Drive, where they have deeded
No,
access
you're on
to like an easement lot.
So it's a
not-
common lot that they're all
Right,
sharing?
so they have passive access only. And so they are being assessed at half.
Well, at the very least, I would very much want to walk out of here with that status. If they're being afforded that and they have a closer access to that lake than we do, at the very least, I would like to be afforded that, especially if our parcels are listed at a full 233. I was under the impression that they were listed at the 50% rate, and I was even upset about that.
Jack, do we, legally, can we change, since we've posted this, we had a first reading, can we legally
Well,
change the assessment role during this process, during this meeting?
Yeah, the part what this is to hear these objections to the assessment roll. That assessment roll can be amended. And that would go back to the supervisor and the assessing officer to amend that. And I think it'd be appropriate if that's what the board is thinking, that, you know, somehow you vote on that, but.
Well, I think the board has the authority to approve amendments,
Oh, yeah.
right, I mean,
right.
tonight. And
Oh, sure.
we can confirm a revision to the roll.
To the roll.
We're actually doing that with one of the others because of a calculation error tonight, so.
Well,
That was my question. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if we, as a board, could make that
Oh, yeah,
decision this
ultimately,
evening.
100% it's a board decision.
the problem, as I see it, and this seems like a nice man, I'm empathetic to his problem, but the minute you go away from something objective, like legal access, to something subjective, like I can't really use it, you open the door for the next door neighbor to say, I've got 10 feet of cattails, I shouldn't be doing this. It gives you a bright line.
We already dealt with the neighbors on this one, though.
Well, I'm just saying, anybody on the lake can say, gosh, I've got actual lakefront access, but it's not practical because of reason X. And I don't-
Can
and I
there
don't
be an
think-
amendment about those 3 lots? Can there be an amendment about those 3 lots that has to do with, you know, maybe adding something in there about if there's a approval by the I mean, you could put, I'm assuming you could put as much language in here as you want.
There's no good way to do that. And that's what I was getting to. I mean, if the board does something, and next week DEQ says, yep, go ahead, or DNR, whatever they're called, if they say, go ahead, put a boardwalk in, or we'll clear out all these cattails, there's nothing really that the board can do to reassess those parcels. I mean, on paper.
For the next 5 years, you wouldn't be able to, yes. But in 5 years, this could all be coming up again, and you could be reassessing at that point.
Well, that's not how it's supposed to work.
I also want to, just a point of clarification, and this surprised me too, and I seem to be misunderstanding something. Was it going to be that those 3 lots were paying the full assessment, or were they included in non-lakefront access?
What's your last name?
Bilas, B-I-L-A-S. Because if that's so, then I would at the very least ask for an amendment to include those 3 parcels under the non-lakefront line.
They're paying the full amount.
They're paying the
You are paying the full amount.
At the very least, I would ask for an amendment on that, on what the amendment would be what you would consider non-lakefront parcels.
Okay.
Until he deeds it away, I don't think we should go from objective to subjective.
What is
That's
legally
not-
considered lakefront?
Property that has legal access to the lake.
So do they not have deeded access to the lake of people that are non-lakefront?
They have deeded access to a common lot.
The shared lot. It's a
Shared lot.
common way it was done back in the 30s to the 60s.
How do the non-lakefront people have deeded access to the lake?
Usually in the plats.
They're in a
I'll
what?
say, here's a park area, Park A, and lots X, Y, Z, P, D, and Q have the right to use the lot to access the lake. There's been case law before there were judges about fights about what you can do with that particular kind of access. It's not the same as what you have. It's a much weaker form of access than what you have.
But that sounds exactly like what we have, isn't it? You have to use,
you
all
have-
lots can use this particular park to access the lake. That's exactly what you just described, is what our situation is.
I understood you had deeded access to the lake.
Through Pamela Park.
Crosses over Pamela Park.
So how is that different from the non-lakefront access and their deeded access to
They
the lake?
have a single parcel that's shared by multiple parcels.
We have a single parcel, we have 3 parcels that's shared by, we all share access through Pamela Park. I just don't see the difference there.
I'm just a real estate lawyer. I don't really know.
I'm just a priest. I don't know either.
Any other comments or wishes? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address? Yes, sir, would you please come up, give us your name and your concern?
That's what we're doing.
Good evening. My name's Dave Weber. I live actually right down the street from Gabriel. The little clarification from my understanding, our lots, we can all put a boat on a lake. We can go to the ramp, put a boat in, whereas and I think the people on Mohawk do not have that availability. I think that's the clarification between what we have versus what the people are paying half of the assessment. So I think that's how that works. We do have the ability to get to the lake, on the lake, with a boat, with a jet ski. We can do all that, even though we don't have lakefront property. Like you said, it's something because of the park that we all have the ability to get to it. I do not disagree if the three people down the street, they don't want to be a part of the lake because they don't want to do it. And like you suggest, maybe not have the deeded access. I would support whatever the three homes there would want to do. In no way do I not want Gabriel to get to the lake. We would help. And when he first moved in, we tried to talk to him. We wanted to help him get to the water because we know the circumstances, we know the terrain, we understand the complications with that. I was one of the original owners who did. We were actually sold by the builder that those were lakefront properties. That's what we were sold. We've then found that it was an actual park. So then after we moved in, the builder said, oh, by the way, it's a park, you probably just need to mow it and maintain it, but you can all have your docks and do your thing. And then there were some complaints filed. We had to hire an attorney who got us back on the water because of the park. That's a boiled down version of what happened. And again, Gabriel wasn't here for that, so he may not understand the ins and outs of it.
Is that George?
Yes, Rising,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
George had a very clever argument that got them access. I remember when, a number of years ago now, but I know a fair amount of real estate law, and George taught me something that I didn't know on that particular.
Right, so, I mean, we were upset. We wanted to sue the builder. The builder went under, bankruptcy, nothing we could do. We've had fights with the DEQ ever since about the property. That was changed between the end of our property line and the water. The DEQ wanted us to pay for remediation to bulldoze everything and plant native species, and Mr. Clampett, I'm sure if he were here, would say we still need to do that, but they've pretty much said we're just going to let everything grow natural. The point you're making at the end of the street, because there are the homes, the ones furthest east, they should not be mowing right to the lake. I can tell you there should be an easement, conservation easement. It might only be 5 feet.
Sure.
But no one should be mowing to the lake.
Correct.
So that's what it is. For the idea, the proposal to let Gabriel put a dock anywhere, that is true. That's what I think Mr. Reisig had come to the conclusion is the docks could go anywhere. Gabriel's been very nice about not trying to put him in down the way. He was trying to get one in front of his house. We definitely wanted him to have that. We wanted all three homes to have that. The complications that he's saying is you would literally have to go from his backyard through the park and walk all the way down through the woods and then through all the terrain that's there. It's not practical. It's not fair for him to have to do that. He should be able to have the ability to have a dock out where he sees fit closer to his own home. That's my take on that. So I do sympathize for Gabriel. Those three homes are kind of stuck in a weird predicament. So whatever we can do to help would be great.
I know where you're at. How many homes where you're at on the north side of Neal in the...
There's 5 homes, 6 parcels, but one of them I own 2 of
Okay.
them, and I'm combining them, so there'll only be 5
How
parcels.
many of the 5 homes are unofficially, how many of the 5 homeowners are of your mindset reference those 3 lots?
I don't know. I'm not sure what everyone else thinks. I haven't spoken to them. We don't always see eye to eye.
I'm not trying to be hard here. It probably doesn't matter what they think, but I just think, because he said he didn't want to be the jerk, which
Right.
I get, but I think maybe if there's a consensus that they all can empathize with you, and, just knowing that you got one right here, I mean, he sees your play. I know exactly
Sure.
everything you're talking about, because we went through this 10, 12 years ago, something
Yep.
like that. And, yeah, so I mean, maybe if everybody's in agreement, It might be a little farther down than you want, but at least,
Yeah,
I
and
mean, if you're gonna end
unfortunate-
up paying it, you should have access to it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it would end up being further east because there's really no good spot.
I understand that.
Yeah, I'm right at the edge of the swamp-like area that's over there, which is considered wetlands. Most of the docks do not touch, well, I say none of the docks should touch land. I had to buy a floating dock
Okay.
so that it's in the water, you step off onto it so that we're following the restrictions that they say is nothing can touch land. That was I guess that was the compromise that came to with that lawsuit.
Or
So-
over the 5-foot strip, right?
Yeah, we know
Some
we
people have docks on their lot, then it floats over, or,
mine it just floats right out. I step over off the
I-
land onto it.
yeah. And I'm just thinking, like, this is
Yeah,
all,
we're talking about these three.
Yeah, because we were originally told that we were not allowed to have anything touch land. It could cantilever over,
yes.
but it
that's-
couldn't touch.
That's where I'm at, yeah.
Right, right.
They
No,
wouldn't allow us to cantilever over anything, the DEQ. that's
Right.
what we proposed.
That's a big cantilever, if we were gonna do that.
They, we really truly wanted to establish, I'm sorry for speaking out of turn, we truly did want to do this the right way. And,
I understand that, and I understand how the DEQ works, and I know Chris Clampett, how he works, and I guess the way, I mean, you can see the writing on the wall that you may end up paying for this. And if you do, maybe there's some empathy with the other 4 homeowners, and, I mean,
Does he
it's
normally
something.
sit, does Mr. Clampett sit on this?
No, he's in Lansing, he's with the DEQ.
We also got threatened that if we pursued this, and maybe this is a legal thing, but if we pursued this, then they might need to reconsider bringing a lawsuit against all of those parcels. They threatened us with bringing a lawsuit against all of those parcels to do that chomp down and replant as he was talking about, which is another reason why I didn't pursue this any further, because I didn't want to be the cause of causing anybody else issues and money. So I really am kind of pleading to the board that they consider those three properties. I'm trying to do everything properly, nicely, and be a good neighbor. And by the letter of the law, I might be getting screwed, but.
Well, I understand that, but on the other side, and I'm familiar with the enforcement side of the law, and I mean, if your dock is in standings with theirs, you don't need any DEQ intervention because you're not violating anything. Just saying, just throwing things out there.
I'm trying to be the Andy Griffith neighbor here.
Commendable.
Yes, well, thank you. I wish you would take that commendable action in your deliberations about considering us non-lakefront properties, at least for the time being.
Okay.
Sure, and
Anything else,
lastly, I'm also the Loon Lake, the Friends of Loon Lake Association president, so we appreciate everyone coming forward and letting us know the response. As far as I know, Gabriel's the only one who doesn't want this, and it's for very specific reasons. So we're looking forward to continuing the renewal of this weed treatment program, and we just look forward to the future. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board concerning the special assessment Loon Lake? Board, any comments, questions, or?
Thomas, if, or maybe Jack, I don't know, if we approve the roll as submitted and Gabriel deeds away his lake access in the next 5 years, is that parcel stuck with the assessment for the 5 years, or is that because it's no longer?
I think, I mean, a roll can be revised, but I think it takes a hearing, that's expensive.
Right, yeah. I mean, absent some real action by the board, it wouldn't be something simple. It's just saying, okay, deeded away the access, and yeah, you'd have a big hurdle. And there's a lot of expense that's incurred in these. You have publication, mailing notices. I mean, we're having meetings anyways, but you have other expenses involved if you have to have more hearings.
Just publishing 2 notices is almost $700.
Can I ask just a clerical question? I'm talking about expenses, but what would be the clerical change in adding what would be the major change in adding those 3 parcels to the non-lakefront cover?
I mean, what would it do to the numbers?
not what it would do to numbers, but how much is it gonna be cheaper for me and the city to change and do these 2 mailings and require all these hearings? Or would it be cheaper just to make an amendment to add those 3 parcel numbers onto the 50% assessment reduction that you're affording the non-lakefront property?
Those two options really aren't, you're not comparing apples to apples. It's maybe like apples to cherries or something, but it's not apples to apples. It's really two different things.
But practically, legally, yes, practically. That's why I'm just asking if those 3 parcels, if that could just be added to then being included in the 50%.
If I understand you correctly, Jack, someone could make a motion, a trustee could make a motion right now to take those 3 parcels, state the 3 parcels, and revert them to non-riparian or whatever.
Sure.
If it passes, then there's no expense to this board, there's no expense to the constituents, it's over in, if no one makes said motion, then we vote as it stands. So basically, to answer your question, if the board, if someone on this board feels that they think that you should, then they would set forth a motion and we would vote on it.
To be included in that 50%.
Correct. I just want to make sure you understood that.
Yes, that's.
So there's not a bunch of expenses you have to go through. It's basically in the hands of the board to either make a motion or not make a motion.
But what about the people that aren't here to express their concern?
I just told you.
No.
That's what our options are.
It's a catch-22, but
Does that, would you be removing the riparian rights for the next 5 years, or would you just be reducing the assessment? Because I guarantee you that those 3 parcels would have no objection to that.
No objection, okay.
To reducing the 50% assessment. I don't think you would need any of the other 2 here to do that.
What happens, though, is the remaining parcels are gonna pay that difference. The cost for the treatment's not going to change, so that changes everybody else's.
Right. Right, we're talking probably $1,600. Because this gentleman over a 5-year period would save about $565. So if there were 3 houses similarly situated.
1,600, how many parcels total paying?
I've got the
Oh,
spreadsheet
total.
up. If 3 parcels were moved from full to half, it would raise everybody's assessment by $3 a year,
It's $3
Total, or for 5 years?
per year.
Per year.
per year. So about $15.
Jack, from a legal perspective, because of the way the access is deeded, can the board do that?
Sure, you can do it, but as John pointed out, you're kind of making special rules.
Open an interpretation for others to come in and ask them the same
Well,
thing.
right.
I'm not empathetic to him. There's
I am as
there's a
well.
fix for it, though.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard him say he'll do the fix. So
Well, there's 2 fixes. There's
there's,
giving up all your rights or putting a dock in the park somewhere.
right, right. Yeah.
Yeah, there are
Just telling
definitely
you where we're at.
options.
I understand the options, I'm just, I think if you ask those, maybe I'm wrong, but if you ask those people that we would have to go through their yard or put another dock and a boat in their yard, if it was worth the $3, I wonder what they would say.
Well, I know, but wondering isn't the answer.
True.
Right.
I'm not arguing
Right.
legality, I'm not an attorney, nor do I have the smarts to be an attorney. I'm speaking from a very practical and a practical standpoint is what I'm speaking at. You could throw the book at me and you would be completely legal and within your rights to do so. I'm pleading on fairness, so to speak, because that's part of what this is about, right? It's about talking about the fairness of what it is. And that's why I came here today, was to really expose the situation I've lived there for several years now, and I've been trying to come up with a solution for this for 3 summers. And there is a solution. It's not a great solution, and it's not a fair solution, but it is a solution. But this would be something that I think, like I said, by the letter of the law, you can do whatever you want, but by the fairness of those 3 parcels, I'm just making that plea to this board.
We think whatever we do is not going to pass.
Takes 3.
John, what's your concern about dropping this down to 50%? You're saying other people are going to follow suit.
Well,
Give me an
I don't-
example here.
Well, I mean, I don't know the lake as well as you do, and so I'm thinking of it from a hypothetical standpoint. And I know I'm coming off cold to this gentleman. I don't feel that way towards him at all. I think he's being very rational. I understand what he's saying, but what the difference between dropping him to 50% or to 0% is just a matter of, we're not talking about a lot of dollars, and I frankly don't think everybody would care about the $3 a year. I don't think any of that really matters. Right. But maybe I'm just too much of a purist on this, but from a legal standpoint, once you say, all right, we're going to discern the quality of your access when we're determining how much you're going to pay, think about every road special assessment district that you've heard over the last 3 months, think about every lake special assessment. Everybody is going to come in and have mitigating circumstances, because everybody's got them. I can tell you about mine. Everybody's got special circumstances. To me, if he's truly serious that this is worthless access to the lake, back it up and get rid of it. Okay? There's an easy fix to this, and the assessment will be gone. But I don't think he wants to do that, because there's probably resale value whenever time comes to being able to say there's deeded access to the lake, and he probably paid for it when he bought it.
And we have an expert out there in the audience, probably doesn't want to say.
Run for cover, Ed. He's talking about you.
All I know is the access that he paid for, like, yes, he's arguing a point in regards to his taxes, and he's paying for lake access that he can't use, so I feel like he's kind of getting screwed on one hand, yes. But at the same time, I believe when he bought that house, he didn't pay for a dock right. And I just know, like, I sold a house on Silver Lake that went through one of those lawsuits, and they all have a dock at the end of this channel. And that house, it was a $200,000 house. Well, he paid $409,000 for it because he had the lawsuit and the dock. So, like, I don't know how much this house is worth, but say it's $250,000. If his house is worth $250,000 right now, he finds a way to get a dock. Now his house is worth $300,000, and he has a way to get it now. Maybe down the street, but I see both sides of it. But for $3 for the whole board, I mean, for $3 of savings, I just don't see why just somebody makes a motion, if someone seconds it, and you get a vote, then, now he feels like he got his justice. Everyone could vote against it, but at least he felt like he had a shot.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Dominic Corso. I live on Lake Ponema. I'm the vice president for the Lake Association on Ponema, Squaw, and Tupper. I just want to share our experience with this a little bit, just because it sounds like he's got a very similar situation when we worked with Tom to adjust our role as well for our weed control. We have a subdivision that people have common property they have to cross to get to their dock. And then we have people that have deeded access through a lot, like John explained, where they can't necessarily have a boat on that lot. It's basically they could take their kayak through there, or they could hang out there on the beach. We came up with a formula that people that can have a slip had half a share. People that had just deeded access through land without a boat had a quarter share. And everybody else that had, they could have one or more boats, they have a dock right on the edge of their property, would pay for a full share. And that's what we implemented for Lake Ponema. And that's worked pretty well, I think. And it was a fair assessment to everybody. And looking at their subdivision they're referring to, it looks very much like Cottage Cove. There's a common property between their houses and their lot. They have to cross each other's backyards. Cottage Cove, all of those people pay half a share in our lake. Very similar.
Okay.
Now, I don't know in the case of this gentleman if it would just include those 3 houses, though. I would think those same 5 houses that have that piece of land between them would also pay half a share if they were to apply that fairly across the lake. Because those same 5 people that actually have docks but they have to cross someone else's property to get there, the park, common property, they should pay the same half a share. So it would be all, basically, 9 of those lots.
Hypothetically, though, I mean, I don't know how you worked that out and came up with those answers, but you could take the Brown condos that everybody passed on the way in here and say that they have a common area in the center, and so they only have to pay half of the Lake Fenton assessment. But I don't think that's how it's set up today. I think they all.
There is a difference because they do have dock rights, I know, because I went through that whole process.
Yeah.
So those
But-
people actually have their own docks.
Right, but what he's saying is Cottage Cove also has, on Lake Panema, which he's saying is only paying half, they have dock rights as well.
But they could only have one boat on that slip. They could
But
have
they
a
can only have
slip.
one.
We only
Right.
had one, the Cottage Cove only have one slip. So like I live on the lake, so I have a dock, I can put out whatever I want.
Right.
Cottage Cove only has one slip. So the
Right.
point is that we came up with what we seemed as a fair formula.
Yeah.
We applied it evenly to everyone, so.
Everybody on the lake, including the
It
marina.
doesn't necessarily have to be black or white. If there's people with different types of access, then there should be a different formula applied. As long as it's fair across the board, then there shouldn't be any ramifications. It's applied equally to everyone as long as.
On that lake,
Correct.
not in the township.
No,
Correct,
I'm-
correct.
The Lake Association
That's-
is here.
But that's where we run into the issue, is why would we treat owners of a certain type on one lake different than owners of a certain type on another lake?
But if the
I-
Lake Association is supportive of the system and they
Yeah.
say, everyone that has access gets a full share, if you have this type of access, you pay a half share, if you have this type of access, you have a quarter share. As long as it's applied equally around that lake, then there shouldn't be any.
Does everyone on that lake get a vote?
They go through the lake association, and the lake association brings that to you. We manage
Not
the
what
weed
you have
control.
here.
Interesting, no, it's not.
The township doesn't manage this part of it. This is what the lake associations are
Right.
designed to do. So,
To that point, John, the can of worms you're worried about opening, it sounds like it's already open. Different lakes are doing different things.
where a road is very different, because that is controlled by you. That is, there's no road association.
The concept's the same.
Right.
And I'm just hesitant to get away with subjectivity when there are other options. There weren't other options. And again, I'm sympathetic to the guy. I understand what's going on.
I see the concern, though, is if you give the 3 properties 50% share, you really have to do those other 6 to the right of them that are the same. Because that's where you might have some disputes.
point.
is They're crossing
This
the
is my
same
point.
property. That's where the point is, it needs to be fair across the lake. It can't be, you know, and maybe they come up with a different formula where there's a quarter, a half, and a 75% share. But that's, I think it's really up to the Lake Association to work with Tom on that role to build that.
Or docked access.
Do you have a lake association?
Brand new. We just formed it this last 30 days. That's a brand new.
Do we, Jack, do we have the option to postpone this without
Sure,
service?
you could, what you
Would
do is you continue it. You don't postpone it, you just
So
continue
would
the
you
hearing, so
be
you don't
open-
have to do new notices.
Yeah, or would you be open if someone made a motion to postpone this? Your lake
Continue.
association can talk this out and do that, or is the rest of the residents ready for us to make a vote on this? And that's the only other option. We've got 2 options on the table, and they both come from this board.
Welcome to lake life.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome
I wish I
to-
knew what that was like.
Well, I'm not lakefront either.
Touche.
Yeah, I'm the only one here that is lakefront.
Okay. Mr. Lorraine, is there something you want to do? Is that,
I'm just,
no, we can either do the resolution or,
there's 2 options. We make a resolution to set forth a vote, or set someone that wants to put
Well, let
forth
me-
a motion to
Let
postpone.
me say something just so Gabriel knows. We don't establish this. This isn't what we, the
Yeah.
township, creates. So what Dominic is talking about is deemed fair, is in the lake chain that I live on. There's one set of rules that the associations, and there's multiple ones in that context, have put together and said, this is fair. And different lakes have different ideas what's fair. If you really want to have a really interesting discussion about what's fair, talk about dividing up costs to improve a road. There's 50 different ways to do that, and there's logic behind all of them. We just get something from, we'll call it the association, sometimes it's more than that. We didn't create it, we didn't deem it to be fair or unfair. Your local folks, your association, what you know it now. And, you know, whatever we do, whether we postpone so we can go back and have discussions about excluding you, or we proceed and you get stuck with the assessment, if you talk to the local folks, because this is a 5-year program, you know, they're the ones that dictate how this is set up, okay? And your math is sound, you know, we've spent a lot of time talking about under $600. And I don't mean to minimize that, because it's $600 of your dollars that I'm talking about. But, you know, it's not something we're trying to jam down your throat. This is what was brought to us. I can't think of a single time, and I'm sure it's happened, but I can't think of a single time where we've adjusted on the fly like this because of, I'll call them subjective concerns about access.
Can I just clarify? So if you postpone this and the Lake Association got together and said, we don't mind paying the extra $3, let them be 50%, that would be something that the board would.
Oh, yeah. If they brought it back to us, I mean, it is, in a sense, silly when you look at the numbers we're talking about. But it's important to you, and that's why we get the opportunity. I know I've come across like I'm opposed to.
He's a lawyer. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Mark.
I do this all the time. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a motion that we postpone this.
Continue it.
Continue this and let the Lake Association, the newly formed one, kind of talk to some of the members and get a vibe of what's going on. Explain to them, explain to the association the situation with these three. It's a legit, okay, he's by the law. You actually, you're right. I mean, you're getting stuck with this and it isn't fair to you. So for that reason, I would like to
I just had a question. Okay, let's say he gets his, you know, I understand. I've
Could you come up to the podium?
Years he gets full access.
Sir, could you come up to the podium and give us your last name, please?
Just everybody's doing that. My name's Don.
I know, I'm
I
trying to
live on
straighten it out.
Loon Lake. I was just curious, and I sympathize with them. I understand you can't get there, that stinks. Let's say that he does something to correct that situation in 2 years, then would his assessment change?
That's the problem.
Well, but this is why we're going to continue this and let the Lake Association hash this out for a couple more weeks instead of the 45 minutes we've been
Right, I hear it.
banging it out here. So
Well,
that's I move we continue this.
But just to make clarification, or I guess Tom, they could catch up with Tom, but would they then, once the decision is made by the association, would they bring those back to Tom so Tom could reestablish?
Well, he's probably just going to set it for the next meeting.
No, just bring it to the next
We continue the hearing
Okay,
at the next
A
meeting.
couple weeks,
There's a
I mean, it's
motion
more
on the
than a
table.
couple hours.
Well, there's one other option, and it's not a good option because we did it on Golden Pond for years. We don't do an assessment, and sorry to say it, the president of the association collects the appropriate monies from all the lots.
Well, can I still move
Oh,
to
yeah.
postpone
I
it
just-
or continue it? That way he can chew that too.
I'll second that motion.
And specifically, that motion is to continue until the 16th,
17th.
next meeting, or
16th.
whatever the date is.
Motion to continue it on the 17th,
16.
16th of September, 2019 meeting.
Roll call, please.
Krug,
Yes.
Mathis is absent, Kessler is absent, Reed,
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Motion carries.
You're very persuasive, Gabriel. Go persuade him.
Well, it puts it back in the association where it should belongs, and you guys figure out how you want to assess each property, and come back with a solution to the next meeting.
You got a lot of examples. You got other presidents of associations I'm sure they'd be willing to help.
And since this is a new association, maybe.
Absolutely. I mean, there's 18 named lakes in this township. So,
I'm not opposed
yeah.
to changing the way it is, but the way it's written, and I don't mean to be mean or anything, but he can go on the lake, he can put his boat in
I get
every
it.
day.
I get it. I totally understand.
that's the catch I have, because there's other people across the lake who can't do that at all. They can go down, they can kayak, they can fish. Like, Gabriel could literally moor his boat in the lake without a dock. There's things that could be done, but it's not practical. I'm not saying that's what I want for him at all. I want him to have a dock. I want him to use it just like every other person on the lake. But we just have to figure out
Well, you got a couple weeks.
what we gotta do.
I mean, I hope, that, you know, you got a little more time than a couple hours,
Sure.
so. And if it comes back in 2 weeks and it's the status quo as it is now, so be it.
Well, but the Gabriel's got 2 weeks to think about whether he wants to get rid of the deeded access too. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not,
but there's
there's
two other
there's
people
different
that,
things.
there's two other people that
Well,
may.
no, I mean, he can be the only one. I mean, if the other two want to join him, that's okay too.
Yeah.
I get it.
So,
But
anyway.
there's more than just changing the assessment that's
I
in play here
understand
during
that.
2 weeks. So look at all your options, come back, tell us what you think is fair, because it's hard for us. We hear a lot of different versions of fair.
Okay, moving right along.
Yeah, sure.
We have the Squaw Lake Improvement Special Assessment District Number 2. This is the hearing, the public hearing on the special assessment, and the assessments are as followed. 2019, $177.35. 2020, $130.47. In 2021, $130.47. Is there anyone that would like to comment on the Squaw Lake assessment?
Could you just repeat those numbers for me?
177.35 for 2019. $130.47 for 2020, and $130.47 for 2021. Any comments or questions from the board? If not, Tom, could you read resolution 2000?
Oh,
I'm
they're just
sorry.
thumbs up on.
I didn't.
I don't think they want, you want to talk? Mark always wants to talk.
I didn't see him raise his hand or anything.
He only
Sorry,
raised his
Mark.
thumb. Jack caught him though.
Mark Shantz, Squaw Lake. The residents I spoke to are in support of the proposal as issued. We are in agreement to join with Panema to have one oversight committee or organization, and they're going to do a map lagging, which is needed. And then I think the issue we've had initially was the assessment was more than what we're paying now. But what Tom Broker pointed out was the fact that there was a equity fund that was, people had paid more into it. So people basically were under-assessed.
Yeah.
But I think from a reasonable cost standpoint and value perspective, it's a fair price. And again, as a member of the Lake Association and a resident of Squaw Lake, so we're, people I've spoken to are in support of this initiative. We appreciate the vote.
Anybody else want to address the board? Okay, Tom, resolution 2019-42, please.
Yes, Resolution 2019-42, it confirms special assessment roll number 2019-07 is the assessment roll for Squaw Lake Improvement Special Assessment District Number 2. Divides the assessment into 3 annual installments, with the first installment due December 1st, 2019. Assesses a 1% per month penalty on late installments. Directs the clerk to deliver the special assessment roll with warrant attached to the treasurer. Directs the treasurer to collect the special assessments and repeals any conflicting resolutions.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Reed?
Yes.
Gopal?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Kessler's absent. Lorraine?
Yes.
Krug?
Yes.
Mathis is absent. Resolution is adopted.
Okay, the next is Golden Pond Improvement Special Assessment District. Before we open this up, I need to make a statement that I could have due to conflict of interest because I live on it. Mr. Tucker, please.
Thank you, Mr. Krug. This is a public hearing on special assessment roll for Golden Pond Improvement Special Assessment District. After the August 19th public hearing, the township was advised by Aquatic Nuisance Plant Control of an error in their proposal, which resulted in the estimated cost being overstated by $400 in each of the 5 years. The special assessment roll has been revised to reflect the corrected costs, which reduced the annual assessment per parcel by approximately $5.71. Is that approximate, 571? Is there a fraction of a penny?
Well, because of rounding, some years it's 572.
Oh,
sometimes it's
okay,
571,
I'll go with that. The revised roll assesses the following amounts per parcel: 2019, $106.45. That's a little higher because it includes the township's administrative cost. 2020 is $77.88. 2021, $80.22. 2022, $82.61. 2023, $84.73. The board is going to accept public comment on the following: an individual's assessment in relationship to the benefit received, the total cost of the project, and the validity of the proceedings to date. Like you all haven't heard that before. So we will open up public comment. This one is on Golden Pond, which would be a good movie. Nobody?
I have one question.
One answer.
Who decides when the spray happens?
The contractor. I don't know if you've got a consultant working with your contractor on this one. The contractor makes the call. And it's a weather-related call. It's going to change from year to year. And sometimes they're going to guess right. And it's like the flu vaccine. You're going to take your best guess.
Water temperature, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
That answers it. I just want to know who makes the decision.
Okay.
Because I stood out there as he applied it in front of my dock twice. And I said, man, he's doing a good job on my area. It didn't kill anything either time. It got a couple lily pads brown on where we really didn't want it sprayed, but I just wanted to get sprayed. I can't get, 22 years I've been there. It's the first year I didn't go fishing. I can't get my boat out. And I was standing there when he sprayed me. I'm done. That's all I want to say.
Any further public comment? Golden Pond, yes, sir. Head to the podium there and give us your name, please. You know his name, Tom? I didn't get it from him.
I got it from last time, yeah.
Okay.
Pete Trosco, Swans Cove. We need a little clarification on who's responsible. A little bit of history here on the applications. Derek Brookshire is doing our chemical. He brings the boat out to his son, Nicholas. A couple, 10, 15 years ago, John Jenkins are you guys familiar with John? When John was?
He's my neighbor. Oops.
Okay.
But yes, I know John.
Somebody knows John. He procured the boat, and they did the chemicals, and nobody asked any questions, and everybody just paid their dues till it dwindled away. That's when we know what happened, the algae and so forth, and less people started paying. We had a problem, but it looks like we're overcoming that. But the question here is, John Jenkins, I talked to him about a month ago. He had it with the 15 years of trying to procure the funds and everything, and he found somebody else that would do it. A real estate lady named Jennifer Lobb. Is anybody familiar with her? Did she contact anybody on the board, or is she in affiliation with anybody here in the township? As far as
that's what I know about.
Well, she is the person who approached us originally.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Can you add anything?
She was here. She attended the meeting. She was involved in.
Okay.
She kind of dropped the ball as far as I was concerned about getting the thing sprayed, but it finally did get sprayed, but to no avail, really. Last meeting when we were here, the gentleman that did the spraying said that we on Golden Ponds, and you thought that he didn't spray soon enough. He corrected us and said that he sprayed too soon. So, anyways, that's
That's where that was. But Jennifer Lott was here for the very first meeting. You were on vacation.
Yeah, I had somebody else come in, probably you. I guess the question is, are we wasting money by dumping in chemicals now this year? Because we had an understanding that next year when things started, if Derek Brookshire is going to be doing this job, he would do an application as soon as he could in the spring, then one around July sometime, then one in the fall. Those would be 3 different kinds of chemical applications, and that was supposed to be set up to do next year. This year, are we throwing money away, or do we want to keep throwing chemicals in the lake at this point, or not?
It doesn't, if you looked at the agreement with aquatic nuisance, it doesn't start till next year, until 2020. They're not doing anything this fall.
Then why have we had some dumped in here?
Well, they're still doing it based on the money they're collecting privately. It has nothing to do with the township.
Right, but I'm just saying that this new assessment does not start until 2020.
Fine, yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
One more thing, I'm sorry. Why are we locked into him?
You're not. Who you chose.
I mean, I'm standing out there seeing him do it, and it should have worked unless he mixed chemicals wrong.
Yeah. That's the problem. It's not that, if it was that simple, nobody would have weeds. It's like predicting the weather.
Yeah, you already mentioned that.
Back in the 60s.
I understand.
And it's just hard. You're gonna, some years, they're gonna do well, some years they're not. But which company you guys use, there's different ones. Derek has probably got the lion's share of the business in the township, but we have seen recently larger lakes moving to other companies. So
He said something when in the last meeting, he has 80 lakes he does, I think he said.
well, it's what they're in the business of doing.
Well, it took him 27 minutes to do our lake. Both times.
Yeah.
Because I'm out there.
Yeah, well, I don't know his business, but I will guarantee you that the majority of his cost is administrative and chemicals, not time and labor. But, you know, that's, you guys can choose whoever you want. We just...
How would we go about changing who's doing that?
You bring a different contractor in with a different contract when you're having the assessments approved. This is right now for 5 years, so if this proceeds, that's a question for 5 years from now. Or better.
So we're locked into this guy for 5 years?
Not unless we, I mean, we can say, no, we're not going to do it, and then you're starting over again.
Well, all right. You answered my question.
I didn't make you happy, though.
I'm retired, I want to go fishing.
I don't blame you.
This is crazy. I buy fish, I feed the fish, I can't even go fishing. I've replaced fish 5 times in that lake. 5 times. $890 I got invested in fish. And I can't go fishing.
I'm sensing that annoys you.
A little bit.
Just to finish this off, I've talked to Jennifer a couple times. She was busy. I kind of helped her out with the signatures and everything. I hardly saw her at all. But she came over once and mentioned there is an account in her name. And I'm just looking for a little transparency, a little oversight here. There's a certain amount of money in that account. Are we trusting her to facilitate the funds?
None of this money is going to her.
Pardon me?
That's what you've done in the past, and you were collecting it privately, and that's what the account was for. This is to get away from that. It imposes a tax on everybody in the district. The money comes into the township. I and Bob will be signing checks to pay for the services when it comes out after the board approves the payment. So no private holding of the money.
That takes care of that. Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
My name is Hank Lingo. I live on Golden Ponds too. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Hey, we got the ball rolling. Before, we were only having our pond sprayed 1 time, and we had to collect the money ourselves. Now we don't have to do that. Pete, we don't have to do that no more. Okay? So, and to address another issue, we've only had it sprayed 1 time during the season. With this proposal, we'll be getting sprayed 3 times a season. So let's give it a chance. Let's see what happens. We got plenty of time, you know? Hey, everybody take an interest in our golden ponds, and it'll look great, and you can go fishing.
Anybody else have a comment? Seeing none, we will close public comment. Mr. Broker, would you be kind enough to present the resolution, please?
Resolution 2019-43 confirms special assessment roll number 2019-08 is the assessment roll for the Golden Pond Improvement Special Assessment District. Divides the assessment into 5 annual installments, with the first installment due December 1st, 2019. Assesses a 1% per month penalty on late installments. Directs the clerk to deliver the special assessment roll with warrant attached to the treasurer. Directs the treasurer to collect the special assessments and repeals any conflicting resolutions.
I will move the resolution.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Thomas?
Mathis is absent, Kessler is absent, Krug is abstaining, Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution's adopted.
It's a better way to do it.
You were so good at that one. Go ahead and do the next one. Oh. Next is the Fenton Orchard 3 Special Lighting Assessment District. And we're here for a hearing on the costs. And the costs for 2019 are $220.46. And thereafter, starting in 2020, are $36.37. Is there anyone that would like to address the board?
One thing to clarify for the board, the first year assessment includes the installation of the lights, prorated operating costs for the rest of this year, all of next year, and the admin costs. That's why it's such a large disparity.
Tom?
Go ahead. I'm actually, last year, everybody was here last time and obviously in support of it. We had one person who I think was against it, and I expected a rather vocal opponent to face me tonight, so I really don't have anything more to say. We're just excited to get the lights. We've been working on this project for 3 years, and it's very dark in the back of Fenton Orchards, and we're kind of excited to actually be able to walk at night and you know, chase the coyotes away or something.
I was going to say, you get to see the coyotes now.
We can see the coyotes now, exactly, so.
Tom, I did have one. Oops.
Yeah. Anyone else? Vince?
Just one question. I don't like 220 and beyond. How are we going to, if we vote on this, I'm sure in 15 years that number's not going to be the same.
The language in the resolution allows us to review the costs every year. So every year, we have about 75 of these special assessments for lights. We review the actual cost versus what we're collecting and adjust up or down as needed.
I knew that.
It's a fluctuating scale.
Yep. I just wanted to clarify.
And that's also why we chose to go with the LEDs, to keep that cost down.
Keep that cost down.
That was a smart move.
It's a very good move.
And it doesn't take much thinking anymore. It used to have, with the cost coming down, it's pretty easy.
Okay, Mr. Broker, the resolution 2018-44, please.
Yes, resolution 2019-44 confirms special assessment roll number 2019-09 as the assessment roll for the Fenton Orchards 3 Street Lighting Special Assessment District. Establishes annual installments in the roll, each due and payable on December 1st. Includes a provision that allows the amount of the assessment to be adjusted annually based on actual costs. Assigns a 1% per month penalty for late payments. Directs the clerk to deliver the special assessment roll with warrant attached to the treasurer. Directs the treasurer to collect the assessments and repeals any conflicting resolutions.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Mathis is absent. Krug.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Kessler's absent. Motion carries. Resolution's adopted.
Thank you. Next is report. Are there any committee reports for the board tonight? There are no communications. No adoption of ordinances. Unfinished business. This is purchase offer, tax reverted property, and Mr. Constable, with a smile on his face because it's a cute little boy, is going to tell us all about it.
So I've sold this builder, and actually the board has sold this builder a lot in the past on Clover Knoll, or it's basically across the street from the road, Dalhart, that little subdivision there on the corner of Fenton and North Long Lake Road. And that lot has been built on. And so now he's offering to purchase for $10,000 on the lot on Dalhart. It's a 70-foot parcel. It does have some setback issues, and he is going to have to overcome some challenges due to the steepness of the hill. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away with like an 8 or 9 foot basement there. It might have to be taller just to deal with how steep that hill is. But he is prepared to pull permits this year if he can get approval for the front setback to be reduced, but which I don't think would be an issue because the other houses have already had that reduced to be able to build on both sides of it.
Can't remember, does this give him lake access to
Yes.
Little Long Lake.
Little Long Lake?
Yep.
What's your take on the price, Ed?
You know, we've been marketing it for 20 for 6 months with, you know, with nothing. So I don't really think he's being unreasonable considering the extra challenges he's going to have to do to build there. On top of it, you know, cost of construction being so high, he's taking a risk building a house next door to this 700 square foot house that should be condemned. The house to the left of it from the street side is in quite disrepair.
So you think it's fair then?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
But my understanding is there's no contingency. I mean, there's not, because he said he's going to have to go to the front of site plan.
No, he's got a contingency, and that's
Yeah.
the second point that we got to put a clock on it. I'm okay with it.
Okay, I was just going to say,
It's gotta have a
because the
go to the
board said no for
ZBA and-
contingencies.
Right. Huh?
We kind of discussed in the past that
Oh,
we
did
were
we?
going to do no contingencies. I mean, I'm okay with giving him a little time, but that's not a little time.
I don't recall that.
He already has his paperwork in order, and so as soon as we get approval on this, he applies for his variance.
To the ZBA.
Yes,
So 60 days is enough time?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, Vince, because I wouldn't think it would be in our best interest to say no contingencies ever, because we're going to drive a lot of people out of the market. That's kind of normal part of the process anymore.
Well, he brought us a couple before that had contingencies, and we, at that time,
Yeah,
I guess,
we
before it was
maybe
like
we
turn
did.
them down.
Yeah, that-
So-
that
And they
could
were
be-
I think they were offering
one by one
5,000 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But these are reasonable. I don't have any problem with them, and if they can limit it to $60 and Ed's okay with the price, then I think I'm okay with it.
So
60 days, as long as we.
you're saying that 60 versus 90 for the ZBA?
Well, whatever, if he wants 90.
No, I mean, it's saying here that.
It doesn't say, there is no,
Oh,
I didn't know
okay.
what he wanted, we just,
yeah. He says 60.
John wanted a clock on it.
Because
Do you know when the next meeting is?
We only meet once a month.
No, not your meeting. The
ZBA.
meeting for the
I
ZBA.
sit on the ZBA.
Oh,
I sit
okay.
on the ZBA, so we only meet on.
And when's the next one?
third
Tuesday.
Tuesday, and you need
So
2
there'll
weeks.
be,
It's probably not too late to apply for the
September.
September meeting.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
Go for the September meeting.
Yeah, well, he was going to have to because he wants to put a basement in before October, so.
okay, so good. 60
Yeah,
days ought to be
60 days is
good.
good. I'm fine.
So motion to approve, subject to contingencies being limited to 60 days?
Second. Second.
Roll call, please.
Kessler is absent. Krug?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Lorraine?
Yes.
Mathis is absent. Tucker?
Yes.
Gopel?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Edward.
So I think
Thanks,
all
Ed.
that's,
Thanks, Ed.
all that's left in our agreement expired, but all that's left is that lot on Autobahn with the detention pond on it, which I don't know if you can find a way to just give that to the association. And then the Fenton Orchards lots, which I haven't found anybody that's willing to take the risk for dealing with that association, so.
You're a high roller now, Ed. Why don't you go build one?
One at a time.
And really, we should compliment him. He's been doing a lot of work for not much money.
Right, no, he has. He's done a good job, and he's here tonight because I wanted to know what you wanted to say, what you had to say about the price. That's important to me to know that.
Also, these LED lights, they come with a 5-year warranty and one's off the staircase.
It's almost like changing a diaper, though, Ed. You got to get to it when you can.
That's a pretty good new dad joke.
I don't want to go to your house.
He's a new dad. He knows what I'm talking about.
He didn't until a couple of months ago.
Yeah, a couple of months ago it wouldn't have worked. Now, next is Resolution 2018-45, This is a public hearing or special public hearing on the Fenton Township Fire Protection Special Assessment Roll. Any comments or questions from the board and/or audience? Hearing none, could you read 2019-45, please?
Yes, Resolution 2019-45 acknowledges the filing of the special assessment roll with the clerk and its availability for review until the public hearing, schedules the public hearing on the special assessment roll for the September 16th board meeting, directs the clerk to publish the notice of hearing according to statute, and repeals any conflicting resolutions.
I'll move the resolution.
Support. Roll call, please.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Kessler's absent. Reed.
Yes.
Mathis is absent. Krug.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution's adopted.
Next is Resolution 2019-46. This is concerning the accelerated foreclosure on abandoned property. For the past several years, we've had, based on recommendations of the county treasurer, to adopt such a resolution. Are there any comments or questions?
All this does is, by adopting this, if we have a tax delinquent property that is truly abandoned, they can accelerate the foreclosure process so we get it back on the roll quicker. So, and they want the resolution done every year. So,
I think I've told you every year, there's a similar provision in the Foreclosure Act for the same reasons.
okay.
You want to be able to, if they're savable, save them. If they're not, you want to get them off, flatten them out and move on.
Okay, Resolution 2019-46, please.
In summary, the resolution, it resolves that abandoned tax delinquent property will be identified and inspected and may be certified as certified abandoned property under the certification of abandoned property for Accelerated Forfeiture Act and subject to accelerated forfeiture and foreclosure under the General Property Tax Act.
I'll move the resolution.
Second the resolution.
Roll call, please.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Mathis is absent. Kessler's absent. Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Krug.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution adopted.
The next one is a proposal to purchase a new fire truck. Chief Voles, please.
I'll make this short and sweet, I guess.
It's Tom's fault.
It's Tom's fault. Been talking with Tom, been talking actually with the fire committee a lot. We're down to the point of our 1999 Pierce Quantum engine at the Bowles Street Station is up at its 20-year limit. We've looked at 3 different companies, and Pierce came in with the best price. As far as the rest of our equipment that we have, they are Pierce, except for the 2 Rosenbauer rescue trucks that we got 2 years ago. Tom did a breakdown. Actually, it was nice that he had time to do that. Did a breakdown for the purchase of the Pierce, and we had 2 options. The reason we have 2 options is I was called by our salesman, Ed Levy, last week, and he actually brought a demo in that had just came off the line that is exactly within a couple changes of adding a couple panels here and there on it, the same truck that we spec'd out. The difference of that is the truck that we purchased, we won't get for 360 days. We can get this truck in 6 weeks. And this truck is also $15,000 cheaper than the truck we spec'd out because it's already done. Actually, he was at the office the other day when he brought it in, and I actually brought Tom out and showed it to him. But the purchase of the new truck, if we were to go with the old style purchase, which we were talking about back in May, in the fire committee, was $608,251 with a $13,713 upfront payment that comes off of it, which makes it a net of $594,537. This truck that they brought in is going to price out at, did I do that wrong, Tom?
No, you're right. 588 for the
Yeah, 588, 853, because we're going to be getting $25,000 out of the trade-in of the truck we have now.
Who are you trading it to?
It's going to go to Brindley Mountain, the same place we sold the other 2 trucks, the old rescues.
And if we postpone this purchase now and waited 365, would that lower our trade-in value of the truck we have to keep in service for another year?
By about $15,000.
So the
Actually,
savings-
$10,000.
Okay, so.
So we
not just
lose the
savings of buying
$10,000 of the
demo, We
trade-in.
would also lose another 10 grand in value.
Correct.
Resale value. So it would drop from 25,000 to 15,000 in 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Money in the budget, Tom, for this year? Sounds like we're talking about this year instead of next year.
And
Yes.
we ran all that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking, even with this, we're probably still going to end the year around the 200,000 mark in the fire fund.
Okay.
And one thing that is not in the cost analysis, because it's harder to put a dollar amount on it, it's 12 months of not paying anything else for this 20-year-old truck, as far as
Any
repairs.
maintenance.
Right, so we have to
Right
pay
now.
that money now. If we'd agree to buy the truck that we're gonna get in 360 days, we pay that money now, but we're still driving the old truck, and if stuff breaks down, we're fixing it. We're constantly doing repairs on it.
So we're, the
Which,
savings
at
is
20 years
probably-
old, it's getting to the point where we're gonna start putting money into it.
Did you kind of crunch the numbers for savings?
Yes.
Where'd you come up with total?
The numbers that Ryan gave me, that,
15,000.
that's in the analysis, the price.
I don't have my
Okay,
agenda.
so, well, the purchase price of the truck, to order a truck was $608.
Yep.
But to get the $13,000 prepaid discount, you pay it all up front. So we're cutting the check today.
Oh, either way,
Right now,
you're
no
gonna
matter
write the
what.
money?
Right.
Okay.
If we want that 13.
Yeah.
But,
well,
but if we're buying the spec truck, the check's $5,000 less, $5,600 less. And then by waiting a year, we'd get $10,000 less for the old truck, plus we'd have to spend whatever we have to spend to keep it roadworthy. So in hard dollars, we
Yeah.
save 15,600, plus we're saving whatever repair costs. we might
15.6
have-
plus any contingencies?
Plus repairs on the truck
repairs
if
on
we
the
kept
truck
it for
that
another
we
year.
keep. Okay.
Has the truck been problematic?
Well,
Isn't it an ISO issue at 20?
what it is after 20 years, it becomes a second out truck now, a second in line truck. So
Oh.
everybody that's in Station 1's district, your ISO rating's gonna go up, which means your insurance is gonna go up.
Okay.
That's just the game the ISO plays.
All right. And somebody
So-
else will want to buy it because they don't
And somebody will
mind
buy it because they can take it out and refurb it, and in a small community where their ISO doesn't matter, they just need a fire truck,
Okay.
then they'll buy it.
Got it.
It's like our last two trucks, one's in Wisconsin and one's in Denver, Colorado. And they're out running rescues with them. They're using them in the mountains.
And this spec truck fits what you need.
This spec truck, like there's, if you look at your,
Yep.
what Tom said, I think it's almost the exact same truck.
I didn't give all the spec sheets.
Okay.
So,
Take your word, yeah.
Tom, I do have a one, sorry. You done?
Yeah, go ahead.
If it loses its rating after 20 years, we as the township set up a 20-year depreciation factor. So every year in your budget, you're setting aside, how many engines do we have?
2 engines and 2 pumper tankers.
Okay, so these 2 engines then are going to be $50,000 a year, let's say, depreciation. So in your budget, are you setting aside $50,000 to know that in 20 years that we're going to be buying a new one? How exactly are we coming up with this money?
we don't designate a specific amount each year. Anything it's always, the approach with the fire fund has always been, anything that's left at the end of the year is
Truck fund.
not officially, but unofficially earmarked for the next vehicle purchase. And so that's, when we established the special assessment in 1997, first thing we did was finance the first truck because we needed it so bad and we couldn't wait for the money. And then after that, every truck we purchased has been with cash. And so we can do that with this one as well. The problem is, these 2 trucks that we bought close together 20 years ago are going to be having to be replaced close together.
Again.
So we're probably going to be in a situation in a couple of years, we may have to finance one of our
Which
trucks.
we did
for a
with
few years.
24. The last time we bought 2014 is we had to have financed 50% of 24.
Vince,
So that was
My
done.
question as a business person, it just,
Yeah.
you know, I set aside, you know, 60,000 a year for HVAC
Mhm.
replacements, but we set the money aside.
Yes.
We do that, and I just want to make sure that we have some type of a plan in place in a budgetary, you know, in the budget, so we don't have 2-3 bad years in the fire department somewhere where we have to come up with a large chunk
What
of
we
change.
have, though, we have a chief that is aware of that. And whenever he does his budget, he knows whatever he doesn't spend for the year. You know, a lot of these, I'm telling you, a lot of these fire departments, if they got the money, they're gonna spend it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And Tom and I, we look at the line item.
saying that we need to buy these, so you should be making sure that when you submit a budget to the board, that
Correct.
it has contingencies for that appreciation.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
And that's one thing I do with the township managers. We look that over, and
Capital improvement.
the way the fire fund works is we're able to accommodate for that.
Okay.
Anything else? If not, I need a motion to approve the purchase of Pierce Enforcer pumper truck for the Fenton Township Fire Department as presented.
I'll move that motion.
As long as we're clarifying that it is the
Option 2.
option two.
I'll change the wording to, that we're buying the spec truck.
Demo model.
for that.
Spec truck.
I'll put the dollar amount in there.
For 588 or
Yep.
whatever. yeah.
And I just
walked around
text the
kicking
salesman, and they still do have the truck. So again, it's a hot item. There's like
Support.
4 departments looking at it right
We'll
now.
just tell them it's sold.
Okay.
Well, hold on.
Well,
Let's vote.
Give it 20 seconds, then.
Give us 20 seconds.
okay.
Motion, roll call, please.
Kessler is absent. Gopal?
Yes.
Krug?
Yes,
Reed?
Yes.
Lorraine?
Yes.
Mathis is absent. Tucker?
Yes.
it's sold.
Carries.
Fire trucks save lives, pretty good expenditure.
Call
Just-
Mr.
just,
Levy,
Chief,
tell him
you
to
made a
take the
promise
for
to
sale
board
sign
that
out.
you will make sure that you have enough money when 20 years comes out that we can.
Absolutely. And any day you guys want to stop in, we can sit down and we can show you line by line how we're doing it.
Nope, don't need it. That's your job.
I'd rather ride in the fire truck.
I was gonna say, I thought it was somebody that comes in the fire truck.
That's where I thought we were going with it too.
In 6
Ride
weeks,
the fire
it'll be
truck.
here in 6 weeks.
I remember when the new one arrived, that was just, to me, it was just beautiful.
Them bright red
You were out there
trucks.
training everybody on
It's
it.
kind of like rappelling off of a building, right?
There you go. It was great. And-
Jumping out of
and
a
they
plane.
And they save lives, so that's
Absolutely.
taxpayers' money's well spent.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next is board comments. Are there any board comments?
I'm hungry.
Sure took a long time tonight, Krug.
Yeah, I noticed. Well, I've got a couple
You took the words right
comments.
out of my mouth. I was gonna say,
Did everybody get the email I sent out?
I did.
Yes.
Okay, that's all and do we have any issues? For some reason, our friends in Fenton are concerned about the $2,000 we said we'd put in as an emergency maintenance fund for the dog park. Is there any issues with that? They picked up that we're not gonna do it.
Apparently, we're talking about different things. than-
yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you
where
were-
are we at here? I'm confused.
Okay, I switched. Forget the email. You know, we have the dog park, and there was a concern when we jointly opened it that each municipality, Fenton, Linden, and Fenton Township, would designate up to $2,000 a year for maintenance if it was needed. And
So are they asking us to write that check? Because we also promised the constituents that there would never be township money
Well,
used. So where are we at with that? Do we have money in the fund?
there, because it's based on contribution, yes, but one of the representatives who happens to be running for reelection, so you could pin it down farther, is wanting to make an issue out of it. Because on our budget right now, it shows dog park 0. So I don't want to discuss it tonight, but you might run into it out in the community. Right now, it's a community-funded dog park.
Correct. And I'm still lost.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
Somebody's apparently making noise that we haven't heard.
Is there ever
Yeah,
a
that
time?
we're not paying
That we're
what
not
we agreed.
ponying up or something?
No, I'm just asking, since it's now technically a park, is there ever a time where monies will go from the general fund into a park maintenance? I'm just asking.
well, we would,
understand.
if we went and expanded it to the park that we talked about for years, Mark, at that time, we would then more than likely have to have it, if we put the ball fields in and the soccer fields and things like that.
I'm just, yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't feel
that's-
comfortable going with what Mr. Krug is saying if we made changes, but we
Yeah.
all made solid promises
Yep.
on the dog park. There would be
Yeah.
no.
That's why I'm asking, since it's now a park, is there a
Taxpayer.
time in the future where it'll,
So,
you know?
while we're on public, I mean,
No.
we're still, no, what I'm saying is do we need to raise $2,000 to keep this commitment to make it not an election?
Personally, I don't think so, but if you happen to run into Nancy Draves, ask her. She has a different answer.
Nancy Graves?
Draves.
Draves.
She happens to be running for reelection.
Okay, so the
Enough
dog park's
said.
the issue. Okay, no, well, I'm glad you
No,
put it on
before I
record.
stump. Huh?
City.
City of,
Oh, I heard the name
you're
wrong.
great, you're thinking Graves.
Yeah.
Hers is Draves.
Draves, oh, okay.
Okay. And by the way, if you missed it, Sunday, there was a very nice article about the young scout that used his Eagle Scout project for the dog park.
Dog park.
If you have one.
That's
So,
excellent.
Yep.
that's all I have. Is there any public comment tonight? By our whole public, you get.
You're it, you're the public.
Someone needed to stay all day.
I'll adjourn it, the meeting at 9:04 PM. Thank you and be careful.